Now the All Blacks are asking themselves questions once again, Kirsty, of how do we find a way to beat them?
Well, I would have asked
Paris?
you a question. It wasn't a win for the All Blacks. 4 losses, 9 wins, so we're getting closer to the number that Mills picked out at the start of the year. Do you accept that loss today? Because it was a tight test match and you were entertained.
You're either a glass half full or a glass half empty. And at the moment, I'm full.
Okay.
I need another look at the game once again, but in terms of how I felt afterwards, a great test match where we created opportunities, but we weren't quite accurate enough again in a couple of big moments to come away with a win. But we did so many good things and exposed so much young talent to another challenge that I get the sense once again, Batesy, we're continuing to head in the right direction as younger guys get this challenge behind them.
Young talent, yes, 100%, but also, like, guys, it was really encouraging to see guys like Artie Severe play so well today. He was outstanding. But I do agree with you, and I think it could easily, if we took a couple of chances, because we created a lot. We created a lot, just didn't finish some of them. We finished a couple of those, and then it's a different story. But all in all, from my point of view, what an entertaining and what a wonderful spectacle for the game of rugby as a whole. You know, as a neutral supporter, what a spectacle in a game of rugby.
Yeah, but you're not neutral supporters, are you? You are All Black supporters. They lost by 1 point, and at halftime, Mills, you have to say the All Blacks had France on the ropes. So, was this a forgivable performance, considering the position that they were in early on?
I mean, it sucks losing. We don't want to lose, yeah, and the fact was, and you're right, it was a spectacle. Like, the fact that both sides went out there and wanted to play, and some of the skill level was outstanding. They let them off the hook a little bit after the halftime break. When the French, they sort of regrouped, regathered, came back out, and then the momentum slowly started to sort of go their way. Yeah, OK, the All Blacks came back and there was an opportunity to actually win. But I still feel this All Black side we're almost there. I mean, you think about the young talent we've been able to expose, even up front, to Mighty Williams getting opportunities to keep going. I mean, you're building depth within the bench. It's little things, yeah, but once they click, and I think they are. When you ask the question, forgivable, I think I am. 9, I mean, they win 1 more, and it's a great season for me.
No, it's not a great season.
You've got 10.
No,
10 wins out of 14.
It's not a great season. No,
yeah.
I've got to stop you there. It's not a great season. Yeah. It's now, on the back of that result, the best it can be is a good season. Because we've lost to Argentina, we've lost to France, South Africa twice, and they're the big guns. To me, there's only 5 top teams in the world right now in terms of form and the way they've played over the last few years. Clearly, there's South Africa. Clearly, you've got to put Ireland in that conversation. You put France in that conversation. And I put Argentina, who were semi-finalists at a Rugby World Cup last year, and their ability to beat us this year. They beat Australia and they beat South Africa. So I look at there's 5 teams. They're the ones that I care about. We lost to Argentina. We lost to South Africa twice, and we've lost to France. So ultimately, for me, I think it's only a good season now. It can't be any better than that, because we are going to beat Italy, and we should. We have to finish well. But for me, when you lose 4 test matches in a season for the All Blacks, that's a tough year.
So considering what you're just saying then, how do you think that we are in a better position than we were at the Rugby World Cup last year?
Because of what we've lost and who we've brought in and where they're tracking to and the potential we have in the group and how much better we've actually, and we have got better through the course of the season. That was a really good performance today. It was. France are a world-class side, Batesy, and I'm up for debate in this one, but for me, the more I dig down to it, I just know that we've got so much more to give, and we're so close against the best team.
And that's what I mean. I think, yeah, OK, it's not a great season, but it's a pretty good
I got him to backtrack. I got him to backtrack in 2 minutes.
It's a pretty good season. I mean, you think there's three of those five teams. I mean, we've even beaten, Argentina. We've beaten those. But if you look at it from the bigger picture, I mean, we're building a quality side, and I said it this morning. I said it's almost reflective of the 2004 team. We didn't have a really great, Tri-Nations. We've had to build some guys around there, and look where we got to, 2011, 2015. You've got to start somewhere, and look where we've come, considering after that win against the loss against Argentina, we've come a heck of a long way. These are quality sides.
Come on, Batesy, where do you sit on this?
I think 2 things. I think the worrying sign is we've been beaten out of the blocks twice in the second half. 2 weeks in a row in big games. Yes, we were down to 14 men against Ireland, but they came and scored straight away after half-time and changed the game. We were good enough to wrestle the game back. We weren't good enough to wrestle the game back this week against them. And I think the proof will be, like, to what you're saying, Millsy, I think the proof will be in the pudding. The key thing is, I think you can handle 4 losses as long as there's genuine learning from that. How do we know that this team learns that next year we don't lose those 4 games by 1 point like today? We get over the top and we finish a couple of the opportunities. And that's where the real learning is. And if you can do that going forward, well, then you know that this year has been the building blocks to something.
Can I make a comparison? Yes. So when Ian Foster made those decisions around changing his assistant coaches, when Joe Schmidt and Jason Ryan came in, their record after that was 16-5-1. So 16 wins, 5 losses and 1 draw. That was their record right through to the end of the Rugby World Cup. So if you think about what's coming up for this group in their first 22 games, which is what they had, they're going to probably finish the season at 10-4. So you've got to go really well in your first 8 Test matches, your next 8 Test matches, to match what the previous coaches managed to achieve. And that was to get to a Rugby World Cup final.
Is it fair to say that, like, with the young group that they've brought in now, the All Blacks, that there's always going to be teething problems, and we will accept that because they've got a new breed coming through, and we don't need to talk about the players we've lost.
Well, let's take a look at the age of some of these squads then, because if you look at the 23 that took on a very good French side today, as you said, Jeff, the average age of this team, 24 and 47 Test caps per player. Now, obviously, a few of the players like Beauden Barrett and Cody Taylor push those stats for Test caps up. But look at the ages. This team is relatively young, isn't it, Jeff?
It is young, and it's young in some key positions in terms of experience.
And they've stepped up.
But in saying that, though, we've unearthed players, and when we get to this level, we expect them to be prepared to play this. Now, there's an element of learning, and for some of the guys, and we've got a couple of world players in the year there, so we've got a whole lot of experience in and around this group, which has helped these young guys go out and perform. But other teams have had to go through the same process. Other teams have had to introduce new guys into their squad. So it's that sort of playing field happens after a Rugby World Cup. Guys disappear and come back in. So I love where we're at. I agree with you. But it's what's the next step? And how do you now view this season? Based on some of those exposures to young guys, it's great.
I suppose for me, when you do lose, and those 4 are pretty big losses, right? You've got to look at it because you don't want them to become a habit that you lost that game far out. I don't see that as this team. Like today, they lost by 1 point, but they are hurting. You can tell by some of the comments I've already made. There could have been an opportunity to actually, to win the game, but I don't see that in this group, and I just think they. Bit more time, another year with the same coaching staff, the same environment, the same culture that they're driven. We're at a new stage. 3 years ago, I don't think we kind of had this build-up. I think we're in a really good place.
I'll also add, there's been plenty of chat today around Peter Lakai and Wallace Atiti over the last few weeks and stuff like that. But also think if you look at what we've built, you look at the 2 of our tight forwards, so both 24 young for tight forwards, and Tamaiti Williams and Tupou Vai, who have been there, but you look at the growth and what they've come from sort of, and I hope this doesn't come as rude, bit part players to genuine starters and genuine performers. So in that I think there's been a progression in those guys as well, which is good to see.
For Tamaiti Williams, you'd have to say it's happened quite quickly. Tupou Vai's been in this environment since 2020 now, so he's been in for a while learning off some of the best, but Tamaiti hasn't been in for that long.
Yeah, he hasn't, but Tupou's always played second fiddle or sometimes fourth fiddle, you know what I mean? So he's certainly not 1 or 2, but Tamaiti's been outstanding, really has. And I also think when we're talking about growth, as we see him absolutely pumping the French scrum, we talk about growth. I still don't believe we've seen the full arsenal of this guy. This guy can carry the ball like no other loose head prop in the world. I still believe there's massive growth in him.
When you look at these players who are 21, 22, 23, who's playing beyond their years, Jeff?
Look, when I looked at Cam Roygaard's game today, the fact he's played so little rugby in 2024, how composed he is, how accurate he is, his kicking game, his passing, he seems as though he's in complete control of his game.
Why did they take him off so early?
I think that's a question you might have. If he was still travelling well, or it looks as though he was travelling well. I think there's a number of things they'll look in this Test match. I'm not sure we're trusting our reserves early enough in the game in regards to giving guys an opportunity, because I see Pasilio Tosi go out there and he doesn't miss a beat either. Now, that's where credit has to go to coaching staff in terms of preparing these guys, having them in their environment for 4 or 5 months now, and they go out and they know their role. But I'd like to see them inject these guys. Asafa Amua was still, once again, very, very good. And, I think in terms of impact, Peter Lakai was remarkable today. I mean, I think that if you look at the young guys, there isn't someone to me who hasn't delivered, Batesy.
Yeah, I'll just add one other thing to the superlatives you gave Roygard, the competitiveness of him.
Yeah.
That try that he scored, there wasn't a huge amount of skill in that, but there was a hell of a lot of grit and a hell of a lot of effort in that, and just to be in around. And Lakai, this man here who played, what did he play, 78 minutes or something like that? His post-contact meters were outstanding. They really were. So, yeah, great day for him.
One of the big talking points off the back of this test match has been around decision-making in the final 10 minutes. The All Blacks took a penalty kick, added 3 points with 5 minutes to play, which put them within 1 of France. Was it the right decision or not? The coach and captain both weigh in on it.
Yeah, I'm pleased, but test footy comes down to, as we know, all this year, just a little bit of a moment, and we'd pride ourselves on how much work we'd had, game management, game understanding, our discipline to win those. Played a lot of footy, but you've got to execute and win those key moments, and we just didn't do enough tonight.
72nd minute, kick for the corner, kick for goal. Is that something they decided on the field?
Yeah, I'll talk to Scott a little bit more about it, but it's his call.
Potentially could have gone to the corner upon reflection and, gone for the win. But, yeah, I'll reflect on that and learn from that if that was the right decision. Potentially not, yeah.
So to me, it sounds like Scott Barrett is taking the blame, like he made the wrong decision. Did he or did he not make the right or wrong decision taking the points team?
I'll jump in. Like, he made the wrong decision. But what I would say, it's only a wrong decision because we never got an opportunity to go back down into their half. Now, the thing about that is I've got hindsight now on my side, so it's very easy. So there's another way to look at it too, is that, and I remember sitting in the green room and thinking to myself, okay, there's been a lot of penalties in this game, so all they need to do after they kick this is take the kick off, kick it back down there. Some official, one of the 5 officials, is going to blow another penalty. Dame McKenzie's just kicked one from 40. We only need to get in there 40 to slot the goal. So, you know what I mean? So I think it's harsh on him. I think with the benefit of hindsight, it's an easy decision. But I can see where his thinking was at.
What would you have done, Mills?
I was exactly the same. I thought, go for the goal. You've got to think, there's a lot happening at that time. We just had a neck roll, down the other end. We've just come back now. They've earned themselves another penalty, with about, 6 or so minutes to go, after an illegal, clean out. And so there's 3 points. It's heavily in the balance. I, at the time, thought, go for the 3 points and then back yourselves to come back. France kicked long after that. So it surprised me. Obviously, the coaching staff felt that he needed to go to the line, but he made the decision pretty fast. And you would have thought if that was the case, and the coaching staff wanted him to go for touch, which is obviously what Scott Robinson wanted to do. They would have got him the message to go to touch.
I know we don't like losing, but isn't it a good time that this has happened? So everyone's learning in this environment, and those two have worked together, the coach and captain in the Crusaders, but maybe this is a slightly different environment. So then another learning moment for this team.